If you see me looking down in my notes, that's what I'm looking at right here on my laptop. Hey guys, happy holidays. Thanks for watching my video today. So today I'm going to do pros and cons about living in Atlanta. I understand that so many people are trying to migrate here, but let's slow it down because there's a lot of folks here and a lot of folks just need to know what they're walking into. So a little bit about me. I lived here since I was 10 years old, since '07. So I've been here for a little pretty penny. And so I lived in the outskirts of Atlanta like when I was growing up, but when I went to college I moved to the city and I've been living there for 4 years now. So I definitely, for almost 4 years. So I have some tips and some pros and cons about living here before you even drive yourself or fly yourself over here. So just stay tuned. So the first tip that everybody says that I just need to address now because I want to make sure that you understand this is the facts. Atlanta is literally one of the most diverse cities I've ever been to and I've ever just seen and heard about, to be honest with you. Of course, there's probably more diverse cities in Atlanta, but Atlanta's a pretty close with other cities in terms of diversity. Just from moving from the outskirts to the inner parts of Atlanta, it literally changes the demographic. You see whites, black, Indians, Europeans, Africans, Latin Americans, Australians. You see everybody. And as a black person, it's very great to be black in Atlanta. As most people know, it's just a great place to be as a black person. We aren't called the Black Mecca for no reason, okay? And the really cool part about Atlanta, for the second reason why you should move here, is that there's a neighborhood for all types of people. You don't just move to Atlanta and say, that's it, I'm in Atlanta, you know. There's many neighborhoods in Atlanta that has different things that would cater to certain people. If you want more of the historical charm and you want more of like the hipster vibes and some more graffiti art, then you go to downtown Atlanta. Examples of neighborhoods in that area is like Little Five Points, Cabbagetown, Reynoldstown, Inman Park, I believe. But the main parts, when people say Atlanta and they think of the three sectors of Atlanta, they think downtown, midtown, Buckhead. Literally how I just layered it is how much money you probably have. Downtown, we're talking about affordable in terms of what Atlanta means to be affordable. Downtown is right here, and then we got midtown. It's the more up and coming areas. A lot of people who are young professionals or just professionals in general, they live in midtown. There's a lot of buildings being built. Every time you go over there, it's a new skyscraper or high rise or something. A lot of apartments over there, a lot of offices are over there. Yeah, it's really great. And a lot of bars over there. A lot of the younger crowd tends to be over there, more of the nightlife. And then Buckhead is like the real Atlanta housewives type of folks, like just real expensive glass buildings, you know, Louis Vuitton vibe, like Lenox Mall. You know, that's a very famous mall that we have in Atlanta that has like the, you know, the Gucci store and, you know, Burberry and all those like fancy stores. So I don't go up there. Ain't nothing there for me, okay? College. The next thing about Atlanta, if you want to move here, that's great, is the nightlife is it's here. You know, if you want it, it's here. But the beautiful thing about it is that if you don't really care too much about the nightlife, you can definitely place yourself in an environment where you don't really come across it. That's the beautiful thing about Atlanta. Like the nightlife tends to be like in a like really central in like a certain part of a certain area, and then once you leave that little certain part, you're not surrounded by it. It's like all the bars and clubs here, all the bars and clubs here. So you can move like right here. You know what I'm saying? So it's there if you want it, and it's definitely there, but it's not there if you don't want it. You see what I'm saying? Another beautiful thing about Atlanta that you should know just by geographic is that it's technically warm here. There's Atlanta's known, if you see all the little memes, it's a very great place to come see performers, and then even going to events in general in Atlanta is very affordable for the most part. Of course, there's going to be that one or two or three or four or five that are like, oh, it's a little pricey, sis, in terms of just all events in Atlanta. But for the most part, you shouldn't be spending more than $10 on events in Atlanta, to be honest with you, because I don't know, it just tends to be more of an affordable place to just do things here. Just don't get caught up in doing too many things and you get burned out. We're definitely known to have in and out weather. So you can literally wake up and it's 79 degrees and come tomorrow and it's 49 degrees. I'm not joking, this is not an exaggeration statement. That has been done all winter. I'm wearing a sweater now because it's cold, but yesterday it was warm. Next one is that finding work here is not that bad. You know, I've been through worse. I heard of worse. It's not that bad. The healthcare industry here is booming and bubbling. We have a whole lot of hospitals. We have Grady, which is like our state hospital, like the hospital of Atlanta, of like Georgia, to be honest with you. That's like our trauma hospital. It's dead smack in the middle of downtown Atlanta. We have Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, which is a very known children's hospital, and they have many branches throughout Georgia. We have Emory. We have Northside, which is like a world-renowned like women's center for people to have their babies and stuff. So there's so many options for like healthcare fields here. And also for the business sector, there's a lot of business here, especially people who are in business, who are people of color. It's not uncommon to have your supervisor be a black person or a person of color, period. It's not uncommon. The legal field here is definitely big here. A lot of people are lawyers in Atlanta, so if you're really considering being like a lawyer or something in the legal field, it's a very booming place to start it or continue it here in Atlanta. And also, if you're in the film industry, oh my gosh, there's so many TV shows and films being made here. I cannot emphasize how many times I've drove through Atlanta and I said, oh, the road is blocked because somebody's filming a scene. Okay, so if you're definitely into the film industry and you want to see that rise, definitely come here and definitely put your foot into that water quick before it gets too expensive, okay? It's probably already rising. The universities and colleges are very successful in Atlanta. We're very known, not just in Atlanta, not in just Atlanta or Georgia, but many like southern states and even northern, wherever, depends on the school. For instance, we have the AUC area, which has Morehouse, which is, we call it the AUC area because these three colleges are together, like they're literally like on the same grass, like they're just three colleges literally sharing the same lawn. It's Morehouse, Spelman, and Clark Atlanta. They're very well known. They're in the west side of Atlanta, downtown. They're all HBCUs, so of course they're well known. Georgia State University is in downtown Atlanta. It has the most students than any other university in Georgia because it's constantly growing. And then also we have Georgia Tech, which is a very renowned tech school for engineers and all that stuff. So that's more Midtown. So definitely you can come here, find great education here. We also have Emory, which is a little bit, it's in Atlanta. So there's a lot of schools in Atlanta, and so of course that brings a young population of very innovative spirits because you have a mix of the artsy people and you have a mix of the technical people, and because we have SCAD Atlanta too. I forgot about that one. We have artsy. We have people who just go to regular school. They have the HBCUs. So it's very high energy of young professionals and young people. And the last pro is that there's so much nature. It's so great. I think they call Atlanta the city of trees. There's so many parks here. Of course, our main one is Piedmont Park in Midtown Atlanta. It's very great. You know, it's very huge. Just a lot of people walking. We also have like the Beltline. It has some nature on the way, but a lot of people ride their bicycles. It's very pretty bike trail. It's very beautiful. Now, let's jump into what we don't want to hear, which are the cons of Atlanta. It's not as affordable as these people think. Like, maybe it's comparison to other cities or whatever, but Atlanta is not that affordable. Be mindful of where you buy property, whatever, in Atlanta. I definitely recommend, just like most people do, professionals, young, rich people, and lower income people, they tend to live on the outskirts of Atlanta. That's why we call it Metro Atlanta. There are certain counties that live outside of Atlanta that pretty much most people live in. People tend to rep Atlanta, but they houses in some suburbs outside of Atlanta because the price range literally drops so much just by driving 20 minutes outside of Atlanta. I grew up in the outskirts of Atlanta, so I grew up like 20 to 30 minutes away from Atlanta, and I'm talking about the same price that you get for an apartment there. You can get a whole 2-story, what's it called, nice finishes and everything. So definitely consider the outskirts of Atlanta, just do that commute. But even with that con, here comes another con. Traffic. Oh my gosh. Atlanta, I think Atlanta was on that list of like the worst traffic. The thing is that if you live North Atlanta, like the suburbs on the north side of Atlanta, you're literally going through like the trenches, because a lot of people tend to live in the northern counties of Atlanta, like Gwinnett or something like that, or like Cobb County. So that when they come into Atlanta, it's just so much traffic. But coming south side, where you live in like Clayton or Henry, going south side, which is like I said, Clayton or something, and going to Atlanta, it's way easier. It's so much easier. But it's, of course, traffic still exists. Just think about, if you live on the outskirts, what part of the outskirts do you live in? South, north, east, west, figure it out, and learn the traffic, because that could really make or break your experience here in Georgia. Gentrification is real, y'all. And I know most cities are going through this gentrification spirit, which is unfortunate to see people being displaced and stuff. But it's definitely real, and it's starting to be pushed inside of the downtown area, because like I said, downtown is more of like more than local folks live or something like that. So just know that it definitely exists, and if that's an issue to you, definitely do your research and figure out where you want to live, because it's definitely here. So another one that's a con is something that, like I said in the pros, it could be a con to you as well, that this city does sleep. So if you have that idea where you can come here and party till 8 o'clock, no, this place shuts down at 3, if anything. There are dead spots in Atlanta, so it's just up to you, like I said in the pros, where you like to stay, where you like to be at, where it's your zone. Homelessness is a huge problem in Atlanta. It's probably one of the worst places when it comes to homelessness. There's literally parks in Atlanta that just that's where they live. That's where they take over the parks. So especially in downtown, once again, I don't want to make it seem like downtown is like the area where everything just like negative happens. But and I love downtown. It's very calm. It's more calm, if anything. There's just less noise, in my opinion. I don't want to make downtown seem like it's just trash. But definitely just understand that when you move to downtown, because just like most downtowns, it's more homelessness, it's more trash, but downtown does bring a different energy that other parts will. Like, there's more history, there's more culture in downtown to me. Midtown and Buckhead tend to have more just money, just money flying everywhere. But anyways, homelessness is definitely here. We definitely need to figure out that epidemic, because like it's so sad when you just see the same people. I've been in downtown for a couple of years, like I said, and I see the same people on the streets, and it's just like, man, what is going on? And my last con is public transit. It's so bad, y'all. It's so bad. We have a system here called MARTA. I know, like in New York they have this called Subway, or like something like that, but we call it MARTA here. And it's a train and a bus and stuff, but it's so bad, y'all. And every time I ride the MARTA, which is little to none because I have a car, it's dead. Like, MARTA is dead. Like, there are like 4 people in there with you. Depends on the station you're at, but for the most part, you probably see 4 or 5 people. Then we have a streetcar in downtown that goes barely anywhere, and it literally goes around like a couple of blocks. And so definitely be mindful if you move to Atlanta. I would highly recommend a license and a car. You can use MARTA, but you're going to start to realize that people are going to get upset that they don't have a car that live in Atlanta. They're going to start to save up for a car, because you can't really do much in Atlanta without a car. But that's it. That's all I have for pros and cons of living in Atlanta. If you have some more pros and cons, definitely leave it in the comments below. And even the city that you live in, if you live in a city, leave some pros and cons of your city and tell me what's good about it, because I'm considering, you know, possibly trying a different city, and so I would love to learn about whatever city you're in and see what your pros and cons are. And please subscribe to my channel. Like, I'm trying to grow, so if you could click that subscribe button, you like, honestly, you make my day. Every time I get a subscriber, I'm just like so anyways, like, comment, and subscribe really helps my channel grow. And thank you for watching. Bye.